The rain was coming down in sheets, the wind was howling, and the old oak tree outside the library window was swaying dangerously. Perfect weather for a scary story. I was home for Christmas holidays from my first year at university, and I'd come into the local library to use their Wi-Fi to write an essay due the next day. Most of the library was closed off with only one small section housing old books still available for students to borrow. The room was dimly lit with the soft glow of a single bare bulb hanging precariously from the ceiling, and the door was propped open to let in more light. That or they just couldn't be bothered to fix it properly. It was one of those doors that made a loud creaking sound whenever it swung open or shut, and the wind was causing it to squeak incessantly. As I walked between the rows of books, I noticed a figure sitting in a chair directly in front of me. At first, I thought it was just another student cramming for exams like I was, but as I got closer, I realized something was wrong. The person hadn't moved for the entire time I'd been walking towards them, and their head was slumped on their chest. I stopped in front of the chair to get a closer look, and that's when I heard it, a low, guttural growl coming from inside the chair. My blood ran cold. Was this person a wild animal? A bear, perhaps? Or maybe a large cat like a tiger or a lion? Either way, I didn't want to stick around to find out what kind of creature it was, so I turned and ran for the door. But then I remembered the wind was still howling outside, and it would be no less creepy in there than in here. So I turned back to search for another way out. There were no windows in the room, and the only other exit was the one I'd already tried. In my panic, I'd forgotten that this was an old building. There had to be another exit somewhere. I started to run, my eyes darting around the room, desperate to escape. And then I saw it. A fire escape marked exit only. I sprinted over and pushed open the door, relief flooding through me. I'd escaped whatever was in that chair. But as I reached for the door handle, I felt a searing pain shoot through my hand as though I'd touched a hot stove. I pulled my hand back and stared at it in disbelief. The skin was red and blistered where it had brushed against the metal. What the hell? Why did touching that burn me? Was the chair some kind of trap? Had whatever was in it somehow set its sights on me? My heart was pounding in my chest and my breathing was ragged. I stumbled backwards, knocking over a chair in my haste to get away. Then I turned and fled, not daring to look back. Once I'd put as much distance between myself and the library as I could, I began to calm down. I told myself it was just a dream. It had to be. But then I looked down at my hand and saw the blisters were still there. They hadn't vanished like they should have if it had all been a dream. I knew then that what I'd experienced in that library was real. Whatever was in that chair, it had a hold on me now, and I had no idea how to break free. The days that followed were a blur. I barely slept, constantly on edge, expecting the worst. But nothing happened. Whatever had been in that chair didn't show itself again, at least not while I was awake. I tried to go about my normal routine, but the memory of that burn, the smell of old books, and the sound of that door still sent shivers down my spine. I avoided the library and stayed indoors, drawing the curtains and locking the doors during the day. Then one night I heard it scratching at my window. I froze, my blood turning to ice. Was it the thing from the library? Was it here to finish what it started? I backed away from the window, my heart pounding in my chest. Then I turned and fled to the other side of the room, hiding under the covers until the first light of dawn crept in through the curtains. From that day forward, I never went near that library again. I changed my course of study, too, anything to avoid going back there. But I'll never forget the feeling of dread that consumed me every time I heard that door creak open or the wind howl outside. For I knew that whatever was in that chair was still there waiting for me.